Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I hope you all are well. Appreciate everybody joining Facebook Live and our panelists that are here. My name is Caden. I work at Nationz Foundation as a HIV STI counselor, and I'm really happy to be on tonight to facilitate this conversation with our beautiful panelists. But before we get started with the questions tonight, I want to do a brief introduction on what TDOV is. TDOV stands for Transgender Day of Visibility. It's a day that's annually recognized on March 31st. It's a day to celebrate trans visibility, to raise awareness about discrimination, and basically recognize the contributions that trans people make to our society. And I really want to reiterate this point that this day exists because there's an entire subsection of humanity that's often not just not known or seen, but are fundamentally ignored and their experiences completely overlooked. Recent polls have actually shown that 1/4 of people in the United States say they personally know someone who is transgender. 1/4. So that means most people are getting their information on transgender folks through entertainment media. And I think we all know where that goes. So with that said, we at Nationz Foundation would like to use our platform to share authentic stories of transgender individuals within our local community who are making a difference with their visibility. So tonight we have a group of panelists that are going to be talking about their identities, their work, and what it means to be visible during this virtual panel tonight. So with that said, I want to give each of our panelists a moment to introduce themselves with their names, pronouns, and share briefly a little bit about the advocacy work that they do or just the work they do in general. Thank you. And you can unmute whenever.
Who do you want to start with?
Whoever is more comfortable. It doesn't matter.
All right. Well, good evening. My name is J.L. Presley, and I'll go ahead and get things started here. I am J.L. Presley. My pronouns are he, him, king. The advocacy work that I do is with my fraternity, which is Alpha Omega Kappa Fraternity. We reach out to the community to basically to uplift people. We have been known to do actually advocacy work as far as going to the Hill and rallying for some of the rights of our trans brothers and sisters. And so that's where we get to really get into the thick of things and to get to really get the work done. Okay, so I'll go ahead and pass it over to Jason.
Hi, everyone. Hello. Hi, my name is Jason. My pronouns are he, him, they, them. My advocacy is in mostly public health, HIV prevention. I definitely educate the public on HIV stigma, STI stigma, empowers them to get tested and take accountability for their sexual health. And I also host a program called Mind, Body, and Soul. I've partnered with in the past, and want people to learn how to be themselves, live authentically, be true to themselves, and that's why we're here celebrating Transgender Day of Visibility today. So, yeah, to Kayla.
Thank you, Jason. My name is Kayla Finn. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I am the PrEP navigator here at the Nationz Foundation in Richmond, Virginia. So I basically navigate those that are interested in PrEP. So my advocacy is through HIV and STI testing and counseling. I love doing outreach and just the overall sexual health and education of those in our community. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for having me. Um, I'm gonna pass it to Jasmine.
I think we might be having some technical difficulties here. Just hang tight.
Were you all able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Kayla.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. If we're not able to switch the screens, we're just going to go ahead and roll onto the questions tonight. Kayla, do you mind answering, starting off with the first one while we wait until we can introduce Jasmine?
Sure.
Okay. From birth, okay, yeah, Jasmine's trying to get back in. All right. So one of the questions that I had for all the panelists tonight, and Kayla's going to start off, is from birth, most of us are raised to think of ourselves as fitting into a certain mold. Our culture and often our families teach us what we're supposed to look and act like and carry ourselves in specific ways. So I wanted to ask all of you, how old were you when you began to identify as transgender or non-binary? And tell us what it was like coming out to your family or community.
Well, for myself, I didn't know, I couldn't identify as early as 4 or 5 years old because I knew something was different about me as early as that age, in kindergarten. So I didn't know what it was that I was feeling. I knew that something wasn't quite matching up with what I was being taught, those morals and standards of what, how I should be were not matching my feelings. However, I had to restrain and restrict myself until I was about 15 years old, is when I was able to meet other individuals like myself who and that's when I learned that, the difference in between gay, lesbian, trans, because I started to meet individuals like myself and that had certain traits like me or certain things or goals they wanted to do to change themselves. So I basically had to hold myself, restrict myself from being who I ultimately want to be because of my family's values and being growing up in the church and things like that. So until I was 15 years old is when I was able to learn what I was feeling, how to navigate, how to change certain things, um, what are what hormones were, what augmentations were. So I was held back for about 10 years because, like I said, I was early as 5 years old when I knew something wasn't, matching up with how I was feeling. So when I was about 15 is when I was able to move forward with my true identity and who I really was and what I was really feeling.
Thank you so much for sharing, Kayla. Did JL, Jason, did you want to chime in?
All right, I'll go ahead and jump in. So I guess I must have been a late bloomer then, because if Kayla knew at 5, um, I'm a tad bit jealous. But on a serious note, I actually I knew like in the early 90s that I was a little different. It used to be the running joke was, that I always had this male name, but yet I didn't know that. I guess I didn't know that the identity was transgender. So that's one of the things. But
Oh,
then
she's
when I
so
really started
petty.
to transition in, I was actually like 41 when I first actually started on my transition. That was in 2005. So you do the math and know how old I am today. Um, but I knew then that I was not living my authentic self. And so when I finally did come into terms of, giving it an identity, giving it a name, giving myself being my true self, it became something that was very fluid for me, which I'm grateful for. And one of the things not to piggyback, but to agree with what Kayla was saying, when you grow up in a Christian family, you don't come out. You don't come out gay. You don't come out trans. You just don't come out. It's just not something that you do. But I was able to go ahead and still live my authentic life, although I had to live separately from my family. Now, the good piece was that later down in life, and I'll say about maybe 5 years ago, no, it's been 4 years. 4 years ago, my mother and I were having a conversation, and the good piece is that she turned the corner prior to her death. And then from that point, I think everybody else understood in my family that if my mother and my aunts on my dad's side all accepted me as their nephew, my mother, I'm her son. Everybody else knew that they had to finally to come around that corner. And now it has been rather easy on for some members of my family for me to live my authentic life, for me to be the grown man that I am today. So it's a wonderful thing. I still got some still hurdles to go over. I've even had some cousins and tell me straight to my face, I can never get through this. I can never call you that. I can never say that you're my male cousin. And that's on them. That's not on me. I'm living my best life, in my late 50s, getting ready to turn 60. And I'm going to continue on to be the man that I am today.
Good for you.
Thank you for sharing, JL. And I know that Jasmine just rejoined us.
I guess
Jasmine.
I'll go next.
Oh, okay, Jason, that's fine.
Okay. Uh, I realized I was non-binary a few years ago. At first I was very like scared of just, well, I guess I'll go back, I came out as gay when I was like 17. And then, I thought, okay, well, I'm just, that's one thing I've discovered and, working through. And then years later, I guess I befriended more trans and non-binary people and learned what those terms were. Um, and I started really be very like protective of the community and speak out, of uplift voices. And then I kind of started to question my own gender, how I show up in this world. So then that comes together. The other hurdle, am I, non-binary, or is the, for me, I kind of ask my friends like, well, that what do you have to do to be non-binary? What do you have to is there like a thing? And there's like, no, just if you're non-binary, you're non-binary. You make up your, you define gender as it is. You define your own gender. So I was like, okay, well, I feel I'm non-binary. I don't like being like, I guess for me, I don't like being like following societal norms and gender norms and stuff like that. I like doing what I want to do, so that's why non-binary works well for me. And for me personally, I label myself as a non-binary butch queen. So, and sometimes I'm going to really, days I get very feminine energy. Some days it's really masculine. Some days it's just I'm really just very androgynous, and other days it can just be out the out in what I do give myself and I at the end of the day. So yep, it was around 23, 24. And I feel, very empowered. Um and sure that my community, the people I surround myself with reflects, who I am, how I am and everything. And I feel very supported. I feel very supported by my family, my friends, my community, my partner. And I feel like I've also definitely helped people by being my authentic self. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing, Jason. I know that Jasmine had just rejoined us, so we're going to give Jasmine an opportunity to introduce herself and share her advocacy work or what she does for the community. So if you want to take some time to introduce yourself, Jasmine.
Yes, hi. Sorry, I'm not sure what happened, but I was kind of like thrown out of the platform for a minute. So I'm Jasmine Christine Ford. First and foremost, my pronouns are she, her, and hers. I identify as being transgender, heterosexual female. I'm an author. I published my first book called Flight of the Beautiful Lie, and it chronicles my life from, quite frankly, birth to maybe about 2 years ago, when I had my transsexualism, my complete surgery, from male to female. So writing a book really kind of like solidified who I am as an advocate for the community, because it gave me an authentic way to relate to the community. I mean, it gave me a vehicle, and that's my book, and that's my story. You can never take away one's story because it's their own. We all have a different journey. We all react to situations differently. We all have different resilient strengths, and my story kind of speaks to a particular population specifically. However, the overall tone of my book really relates to anyone with a pulse, quite frankly, anyone that has gone through anything. So dealing with faith, I've heard a lot of the panelists talk about faith in church and growing up in church. I'm a self-identified saved Christian. I am a devout Christian. So I had to kind of navigate what that means in this society, being Christian and being Black and being transgendered, and all those intersections and what they mean. And when I was younger, now I'm 50, so I know a little something now. So when I was younger, having the fear of going to hell potentially because I was trans, or I identified earlier on as being gay and very feminine, because I didn't really know what trans was, because this is like back in like 1979, 1980, before those identities were really expressed socially. So I had a lot of fear that I was not going to be loved by God, fear that my salvation was in jeopardy because of who I was. So navigating that throughout my entire life was very challenging for me. Becoming a professional trans woman of color was very challenging after years of being in sex work. And my situation is a little bit different, because I didn't engage in sex work because I didn't have any other way of making income. I didn't engage in sex work because I had a drug addiction or I was an alcoholic. I actually was a nurse making a lot of money being a nurse. I became a nurse when I was 25. So I did it because I liked the excitement of the lifestyle. I like my independence. It was a thumbs down to the men who see us as only sexual beings. And that way I was able to own my sexuality. If I charge you money, then you're not taking anything from me. You're not using me. I'm kind of either using you, or it's a give and take situation. So engaging in that behavior, I thought, safeguarded me from a lot of the pitfalls that a lot of trans women fall into. And then later on in life, I had to make a life change, but I was doing it for so long. I was working regular jobs and, sex work for about 30 years. That's a career. That's not just 2 or 3 years. That's a whole career without benefits. So now my advocacy is on just another level. I'm the HIV Care Services Clinical Coordinator at Virginia Department of Health. So I have a pretty good job. I have a pretty important job, and I'm so grateful to VDH for giving me the opportunity. I previously was a medical case manager at a nonprofit called FAHAS in Fredericksburg, and then I moved up to management, and then I became manager of prevention and care services my last year there. So I count myself pretty blessed and fortunate to be a trans woman of color who, and I'm choosing my words very carefully because I don't want to say that I don't want to own all of my success, because a lot of it's blessings. Because I made some tremendous mistakes. Don't get me wrong. So I would say that I did make some good decisions with getting educated and with getting a degree in psychology, in biology, a minor. Um, but a lot of my success were people around me who kind of held me up when I didn't have the strength to hold myself up. I don't want people to think that Jasmine Ford in particular had something different, something special that other girls don't have. Like I was extra super intelligent or had other resources. I had people around me who gave a damn. I had people around me who told me that I was too smart to do sex work. Did I listen? I didn't listen for a long time. And I have some people who stuck around and um, they love me through my bad choices. So now on the other end of this this journey, turning 50, um, I can say that I've come a long way, and I'm very blessed. I'm happy to be part of this platform, and thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. We really appreciate you sharing a little bit of your journey with all of us. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next question, and it's kind of just a follow-up to what I asked prior. What is life like for you now on a daily basis after coming out and discovering who you are and living as your authentic self? Have things changed? And this is open to anyone as thoughts come. You're welcome to share.
Life for me has drastically changed. Um, in that I mean that there still are times where I feel as though I have to still be stealth in some areas of my life, i.e., my church and even on my job. However, what I've been told is that I don't necessarily have to be stealth on my job because it would still be protected and there can be no retaliation, which is a good thing. Now, as far as me um, being who I am and being this out black trans man who's proud and um, just happy, just really really happy, uh, it has changed quite a bit for the good, and it has also taught me quite a few things as well. I've learned also that in being out and being visible to the community, especially to some of the younger brothers that are coming behind me, they look to the older ones of us for strength, for wisdom, for knowledge. And I'm glad that I could be a face where people can come and say, "Hey, I just want to sit down and have a conversation with you." Um, it's good when I hear of younger brothers who are coming out for the first time, or they may be scared and they need some assistance on how to do this, and that they can call me. That feels good. That really feels good. For a long time, and I'll be honest, um, I kind of got to the point where I said, you know what, I've become this old dude. These young cats don't want to talk to me. I'm going to just go ahead and sit back in the background and let everybody, do what they do. Well, come to find out, I've had trans sisters and brothers say to me, "You're still living. You still got a pulse. You can still breathe. You still think. You're still in your right mind. You still have knowledge. You still have wisdom that you can share. You cannot sit in the background. You don't have that opportunity. You don't get that luxury." So, um, me transitioning over fully to who I am has empowered me to heights unknown. Um, there's certain strengths that come with this. There's certain responsibilities that come with this as well. And so when I've learned how to embrace who I am and learn how to stand up and be the man that I am, I realized then that I can also still be a trailblazer for others, even at this age, still be the trailblazer. Even though there are those who have ran before me, there's still others that are coming behind me. And so my whole piece of, and I don't want to take up a whole lot of time, but my whole excitement about is I'm trying my hardest, even at this age, to make it a lot easier for other trans guys to come out, even if they're older than I am and they're just coming out. I need to find out what is my niche, what is my purpose, what is my destiny, to make sure that whoever's coming behind me does not fall in the same pit holes that I did. And so that's where my whole enlightenment and my excitement comes in. And it's just like I said, it's been life changing. It really has. It's been very, very life changing. It's also, and I'll say this on the fun side of this whole thing too, it's also fun to kind of go to the grocery store and watch people try to figure out, is that a guy, is that a girl? But now they don't have to do that anymore. And still they're looking, kind of going, okay, that's a big dude. And, you know, it's just, you have to be within the grocery store to see what I'm talking about. It's just funny. That's all I can really kind of tell you. So yeah, I'm gonna step back and let somebody else speak, but that's my testimony, that's my life, and that's my story. And just before I hand it off, I need to know, Christine, how to get your book. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, JL. Before we pass it off, I do want to ask you real quick if you can explain to the audience what stealth means for those who might not know.
Okay, so stealth means that very basic bottom line is my coworkers don't know I'm trans, and neither does my church. They're the only two sets that don't know. They have absolutely no idea. And I kind of remain that way for safety purposes. And then part of it also is for fear. And I'll be honest, I don't think I'm ready to address such a topic with my church family because of, you know, they're basically, you might as well say starch apostolic type. You know, if they find out that Uncle JL really is trans, that could cause some repercussions. So I think I'm just going to kind of like not go there. My life is good the way it is right now. So that's basically what it is.
Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
I'm going to kind of like piggyback on what JL said. Yes, first of all, there is beauty and grace and opportunity in aging. And I didn't think so years ago when you're younger, because you don't really think about it, right? For me as well, I think that I thought differently when I was a young trans woman. There's such a culture of competition, a culture of having a particular body shape and all this other stuff that ultimately, as you grow older, doesn't matter a whole lot, right? So I think that with older models, older leaders within a community who've kind of been there and done that, who kind of like walk that walk, can now kind of like reach back and you know, grab a few sisters or brothers and say, you know, listen, I understand the culture of competition. I understand that you want to be absolutely as beautiful as you can. I understand that you want a particular body because body shapes define how much attention you get. It defines whether you're feminine, whether you're passable. I get all that, but ultimately, while you are working on the outside, many trans women of color do nothing on the inside, and they are sick and they're rotting from the inside out. They can be physically beautiful, but have so much going on in the inside. They have not dealt with the trauma, the issues, what sexual abuse or drug addiction, whatever, not being loved, not being valued, being trans, whatever their issues are, they don't have the time, they don't have the capacity or the resources to address all the real stuff that's going on in the inside. So dressing up the outside to look absolutely beautiful does not, sweetie, does not really go very far. And I learned that, and I wrote about it in my book, because I had suffered from the same situation where I would spend thousands of dollars working on the outside and ignoring all of the abuse and trauma and and the 6 scars that I didn't really deal with on the outside. So having older people in your life, older trans people, trans men, trans women who are generous with their time, and they want to make a difference, and they want to impart wisdom, they want to impart their experiences onto the younger generation, I encourage you to do so. It's rewarding. I never felt more needed in my older age, um, more respected, more valued, and I want more of it. In my second book, because I'm almost done with it now, because many trans women have come to me with all these questions, and they're similar questions. I'm writing my second book. It's entitled "How to Successfully Navigate the Black Trans Experience," and it'll be available probably next like 4 or 5 months. So I also am going to kind of like to peel away some of those other layers, specifically that trans women of color go through on a daily basis. Oh, thank you. Here's order my book. Thank you. Praise God.
Kayla, did you want to share what's life like for you on a daily basis now after coming out and going through that journey?
Absolutely. And I so much resonated with me from Jasmine speaking as well as JL. Like I just remember a time where it was boy or girl. When I started in the late 90s, trans, non-binary, none of that existed. I didn't really learn about a lot of like trans, non-binary until I started doing this work about 2 years ago here at the Nationz Foundation, because I was um, so absorbed trying to navigate my life. Because I had been in and out of trouble. I've done illegal things. Um, I needed to learn how to love myself. I was jumping in and out of relationships because I thought that's how it should be. But the older I got, the more I realized that I come first and self-love is important. You have to learn how to love yourself before anyone else can love you. So me navigating through this life as a Black trans woman, I'm still learning. I've learned so much about myself, my community, um, what I want out of life, what I don't want around me, what I want around me. So my day just looks like just blessed to wake up and open my eyes every morning for number one, to be a 43-year-old Black African American trans woman. That's a blessing to still be here, because I have so many sisters and brothers that did not make it past 20. So this is just a blessing, and I just want to be here to um, spread the love, share my knowledge, um, guide young ladies and men that are on this journey, to take your time. Because in my time, we were not afforded such things to transition like we have today now. We have plastic surgeons that are more trans friendly now. We have things that you can alter in a more quick manner. You no longer have to go to pump parties or do things in someone's kitchen or bedroom. And I just want to help those young ladies, that because there are still people doing black market silicone. And one of my platforms is Say No to Silicone. Because it's something you shouldn't be doing, because it's not for everyone. So just navigating my young trans youth on the right path to do things the right way. Seek a physician, seek a real doctor, not a friend of a friend, to alter things or change things. So my day to day just looks like being me, happy to be alive, and just helping those that need navigation, whether it's with sexual health, transitioning, life itself. I just want to spread that knowledge, and I'm still learning, and I'm learning from my elders. I'm learning from those around me, my youth and my elders. So that's what life looks like for me. And I hope my life extends to 80 or past 80. I've been fortunate enough to see a lot of things change for our communities. There's still a lot of work to be done in our community, but it's just a blessing to still be here to see some of the things that have happened and have taken place.
Thank you so much for sharing, Kayla. Really appreciate you taking on that mentorship role and helping younger trans folks as well as learning from your elders. Jason, did you have anything you wanted to add? What's life like for you on a daily basis after coming out? Has anything changed?
Life for yeah, I guess life for me has been I'm very more aware of myself. Me and non-binary, very more hyper how I show up in this world. And one thing that resonates to me from everybody else is that um we we get to a place where we decide that we're writing our own script, choosing our own narrative, living in our true authentic. And I had with the conversations I had with Jasmine earlier this week, definitely resonated with me. Um, just what she and her generation had to what my generation is afforded now, and especially back then, it wasn't the words, the action, the wasn't there, but now it's a whole movement. Everything's online. Everything is very visible, very much obtainable. The education is everywhere. We have days like that, and just off of a hashtag, you can unite a lot of people, such as what we've seen in the past few years. So it's I would say in my definitely in my life is just really just being more aware of myself and also um, educating myself and talking my friends in my community, my chosen family, and then also imparting those knowledges to people that wants to learn, people that wants to grow, because there are people that genuinely want to better themselves, and even in that process they may find out, oh, I am this makes a lot this sounds like me, or oh well, this sounds like somebody I know. um and then especially becoming from those who are going through it, and trying to get access to many resources, but maybe they can't, so right now, yeah, for me it's just being more aware of how I show up in the world, but then also being unapologetically me, because I'm only, there's only this as there's one JL, one Kayla, there's one Jasmine, and there's only one Jason Watler, and but also I gotta live my life for me, but also um do it in a way where I'm unapologetic and um empower myself through by living in my truth. I help empower those live in their own truth and write their own narrative. Not everyone has to, everyone that is trans, non-binary, doesn't all walk the. We all have different lanes, journeys, roads, but we, hope people can, take from this that they can. Your journey's your journey, and it's you. So make it count and do what feels best for you, but also do what feels best. That's gonna make you feel safe and seen and heard and stuff like that. So
Thank you so much, Jason. I really appreciate it. And I know it probably takes a lot of introspection to just be able to understand and communicate what it means to be non-binary to folks that may not understand. And I know you had mentioned social media briefly, and I think that's where it leads into our next question. I know we've probably all seen a lot of transgender issues in media recently, whether good or bad, it can be interpreted. But I want to ask you all, what do you wish the public knew about transgender and non-binary people? Whether that be in a media setting or healthcare, what do you wish people knew about transgender and non-binary people?
Can I please start?
Of course, Dale.
Oh.
Set it off. Set it off. Set it off.
I feel it. You feel it? You feel it? Okay. What I
Yes.
want people to really understand is that we are people. Point blank, period. That's it. That's all. At the end of the day, we get colds just like everybody else get colds. We have to go to the doctor just like everybody else has to go to the doctor. You don't need to go out, and I swear to you, every time I think about it, it burns my nerves. Do not go out don't be the doctor who doesn't know about trans issues or trans health, and you go back out in the hallway and want to go, hey, I gotta, don't do that. Don't go outside telling everybody who's inside of the room, because once you walk in the door, that's where the confidentiality starts. You don't go back outside and tell the nurse, I got a trans person, or, I think she is he, and you don't do those things. We are people at the end of the day. I swear to you, the IRS doesn't care whether we are trans, black, white, yellow, bald head, got a whole lot of hair. When we owe our taxes, we owe our taxes. And I want other people to understand the exact same thing. We are people, period. We walk the same way. Some of my sisters got a serious sway that'll make a straight man kind of question his sexuality. you dang skippy, because she's a woman. I got some sisters who looking kind of going, that's a good looking guy. That's right, because I'm a man. And at the end of the day, like I said, it's one of those things of, I wish people would just lay down their oh God, what's the word I'm looking for? I want them to stop being idiots. And I know there's another word for it, but I just can't think of it right now. But I want them to stop being so idiotic about these things. Double-minded. Don't tell me, because number one, what you can't do is, bigotry is another one. But what you cannot do is, and I say this from a Christian standpoint, you can't put me in heaven or hell. Because number one, you don't have that power.
Hey!
Okay, that's first and foremost. You can't, if I'm going to hell, it's because I'm choosing to go to hell. Because I know the right and the wrong of it. I know what the path is that gets me to heaven. I know what my relationship with God. My whole thing is, when I call God, he knows my voice. And when he calls me, I know his voice. So for some pastors, and there's one pastor in like Alexandria, Virginia, and I'm dare not going to call his name, but this dude up there in Alexandria, over there somewhere near the Alfred Street, somewhere around in that area, that's all I'm going to say, he is on it. He has it. He finally got it. And he's trying to get other people to understand, to get it as well. Trans folks we're people at the end of the day. And that's and I'm really going to have to step back, because that right there, as y'all can tell, that's my thing, because I try to tell everybody we're people.
I couldn't agree with you more. We are people too. I think the healthcare for us definitely needs an improvement. And that's for a lot of states. I've lived in a couple of different cities, and I've had really great doctors, and then I could relocate somewhere else, and then there just be doctors that just don't have a clue, don't understand healthcare. for trans people important, but like you said, number one, we are human too. We are just like anyone else.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I would like to add that the jokes, the ongoing jokes by the dogs. Ooh, the dogs came out the park. The jokes, the harmful jokes and stereotypes shown in the media and popularized by gender heterosexual society is the biggest things that is normalizing and normalizing the bigotry and normalizing harm and death of trans and non-binary people and making us is just dehumanizing. Just a lot of these jokes, um, what people would call comedy is just literal dehumanization of black, trans, and non-binary folks, trans folks, period. But it normalizes those behaviors that are toxic, and I feel like if you're definitely not a good comedian if you have to uh throw jabs at a community or use them as comedy routine. And that also in the media it always hasn't trans represented media always has definitely not been the best. Many times it's been literal, like, I don't know if I can cuss, but just really not the best representation. And then also we're human. Trans and non-binary people are human. Um, I don't know what is with the fascination of trans genitalia. Um, you wouldn't ask someone else that. You wouldn't ask another cis person that. So just stop it. Just point blank period. Just flat out stop it. Like, you don't. If also, if you like, just stop it. Like, if you're not in that person's bed or whatever, just stop it. Stop. It's, I don't know, just people just don't have no decorum nowadays. They just, was trans, like, oh my god, oh my god, oh. It's just like, stop, full stop. Just, we're human. We're we're all we're human. Just, I don't know. It's a lot I got to say, but I'm just like,
I mean, I will say this. Honestly, I understand that as trans people, we may not understand other people's fascination, but let's be honest. When someone transitions from one gender to another gender, most of society does not know the psychological reasoning behind it. So therefore, it's a fascinating topic by definition. It's just very unique, and when a trans woman or a trans male present as one gender, and they may have an opposite genitalia, that is going to be a conversation. And I think that when we embark on this journey, this is what trans people want. Most of us, we want to have an experience. We want people to accept us with no questions asked, accept the journey, accept everything, call us by our pronouns, and we want to navigate through life as though this is something that most people experience. That's not so. This is still a pretty unique experience. And I'm sensitive on both ends. What I don't like is people to disrespect me. I'm not going to deal with disrespect. Now, if someone asks me, a physician, become a nurse, And they often ask me questions relating to me being transgendered. I don't mind having an intellectual conversation about me transitioning, about my neo vagina. I don't care about that because we are healthcare workers. So I don't mind that. What I do mind is someone ask me questions in a disingenuous way to get in my business, not to self-educate, not to understand, but just to like get on my business. There's a difference between that and other things. But I think that we have to really give people a little more grace when it comes down to transitioning, because it's truly, it's not common, and people are curious, and there are ways to get knowledge and not insult and not disrespect, but people are going to react how they react.
Okay, so Jasmine, I have a question though, and Kaden, I'm sorry if I'm kind of like jumping.
No, that's fine. This
Okay.
is supposed to be a conversation, a dialogue. I'm fine with the panelists. If you have a follow-up question, go for it.
So my question to you, Jasmine, is this. So you said that that we should not expect to have questions, and I understand. I understand finding out when you want to become knowledgeable about who I am, or if you're someone that's interested in getting to know me on a different level. I understand that part. But when people find out that you're trans, I guess my question to you is, why do we some of us allow people to literally go to the whole genitalia question? Because we're more than our genitalia. And I think that as we become further down the line, that we need to understand that there's got to be a drawing line at some point somewhere where it becomes disrespectful. Like I said, I understand if you want to get to know me, one-on-one, or, but for somebody who's coming at me sideways, we got to kind of figure out how do we do that. And I understand trying to give them grace.
I agree.
Okay. So go ahead.
Well,
I want to hear.
Yeah.
Something I've learned.
Go ahead, Kayla.
I just
for
kind of
me,
feel like.
Go ahead, Kayla. Go ahead, girl.
Who's gonna go? Jasmine, go ahead and go since you wanted to respond to JL. I'll let you have that opportunity. Then Kayla, you can go next. Is that all right? Okay. Mm-hmm. Jasmine, are you still there? I can't tell if her screen has frozen or not.
Yeah, it looks like her foot has.
Okay.
But for me, this is why I like people to get to know me for me. Because I think when we initially come into a setting and we just have to announce we're trans, that's when those questions, we open the door for those questions. Me personally, I don't have to come into a room or a setting or a new job. I just want people to get to know me for me. And then if I feel I'm at the point where I'm comfortable, that just goes back to like with JL, with church, and I think work. Like, yeah, it's certain things we just have to separate those. But I think when people get to know you for you and see who you are as a person, and you are a person, you are a human being, once you disclose that, you don't get the genitalia questions. But when you initially come in and that's something you announce off the beginning, I think that's when we get those questions. That's for me from personal experience, honestly.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
All right, so Jasmine's not back with us, so unfortunately, Jay, I don't think she's going to be able to respond. But if she does hop back on, we'll allow her to give her that time. But we're going to move into two more questions. This one is kind of a follow-up to what you guys have shared. So what I was hearing a lot of is that many transgender people have experienced discrimination, whether in the job or in school, housing, at the doctor's office, even at home with their family. And I know we mentioned a lot about church as well. That can make it difficult to have a job or allow you to take care of yourself, let alone cover health insurance. So I wanted to ask you all, what are some ways that policies can be changed to better protect trans people, especially trans people of color? Since all our panelists are, people of color, I wanted to ask that specifically, especially from violence and exploitation.
I just want to make a statement. Before
I
we
have
just see the
one.
change, we need to be the change.
Oh.
Uh, I just was saying, I just feel like we need
You
to
go ahead.
be the change before we look for change. We got to respect our own first in our community, and then we can possibly see change, but we have to be the change in order to see the change. And go ahead. Go ahead.
Jason?
So I've saw a excuse me, saw a video earlier on Instagram. It was one of the Instagram feeds, and their name is JMaze, JMAJ. I'll share her. No, for today, a lot for us to really get like justice and like told words right now. They feel that a lot of religious organizations in total needs to be held accountable for the violence that is spewed in the pulpit. In total accountability, because that in the culture that we in our culture, even though we say there's a separation of church and state, a lot of stuff from the church or religious organizations are usually influenced everywhere. That's just our culture. It's just in deeply ingrained, influenced. A lot of laws are influenced by are influenced by religion. And a lot of laws and policy. They're influenced by religious and historically religion has been is particular. I'm not going to point fingers. It has been used to harm and dehumanize, like in most cases enslave, and choose to spread stigma. I black and brown folks. It has been used as it has been weaponized against black and brown folks. The whole PQ community. Some stories about black and trans folks that have faced that has religious trauma and is doing to either leave the church or find something that affirms them, or they just they're stuck with that for life and is not in tune with their healing because of that. So I just think that we definitely need to talk about religious traumas and definitely make space for us to heal, but then also have those spaces. They need to be able for that. It is harmful, and people you know if you, just the things you see online and everything, it's just like wow. It's just like the things we even seen from the past few weeks about trans people playing the sports, trans folks just doing anything, and it's just a topic of conversation of it's just a topic of we're not just a topic, we're people, we're human, we have emotions and feelings and everything. Like we're not just some post of some everything. We're not just we're not that. We're actual people. So yeah, those are my it's
Well, I kind of feel like before the church, it starts in the home. I think a lot of things are taught in the home before kids even get to church. So, lot of people don't attend church, but I think it kind of starts in the home, how people are being raised and what they're being taught. Like it goes back to how we probably felt, but how we were raised, it was taught so wrong, like this is wrong, and then when it's taught that it's wrong, and then we have these heterosexual people that encounter us and they really have feelings for us, or they really love us, they can't really love us in their truth, because what's been taught at home is hate, and that's wrong, and a man shouldn't lay with a man, and a woman shouldn't lay with a woman, and you shouldn't lay with a trans person. So I think it starts in the home before it gets to church. But I'm sure we definitely all have had church trauma. I have myself. I've been called out in front of a whole congregation, and people didn't have a clue, and I just thought that was unprofessional on the pastor's behalf. But I think it starts in the home. It's definitely how we're taught, what we're taught, how we're taught. Yeah, for me.
Yeah, it's definitely taught in the home, but all societal level type of stuff. But I can be now so much time. Things.
Yeah, thank you both for sharing. I think it can be a little bit of both. The family does influence what the bigger picture of society will look like, and reflect that for a larger portion of the community. Jasmine, thank you for rejoining us. I wanted to give you an opportunity to respond to JL. I think we've all been anticipating your response.
Okay. Thank you. I'll touch on church hurt and this topic too as well. So I want to be very sensitive because this is so important. I will say this. I will say I understand Jill's point of view, where we have to be very stern on how people approach us. And yes, people have a fascination with genitalia, and I don't really do a whole bunch of conversating about what I do and who I am and surgeries and everything else, unless it's in a safe space. So I'll say this: whether people are heterosexual, whether they're a homosexual, whether they're trans, this society, humans are very interested in sex and sexuality, and of course with genitalia. With trans people, I think that it is particularly sensitive because their genitalia does not line up with who they are psychologically, and there is a little bit of a disconnect. There's a little bit of there's an issue with that. So us expressing feelings about that is a little complicated. However, so in saying that, conversely, we are still willing, and we don't want to talk about our genitalia, right? But we're ready to date a man and not tell a man that if we're transgender, we have possibly the same genitalia as they have, which is a problem. So we have to really know ourselves and have an honest conversation with self. If we have a problem discussing our body parts, we have to really know how we're going to navigate this world as a sexual being looking for love and wanting love. We have to have that honesty. We have, at some point, we have to be honest with ourselves and honest with the people that we're trying to have a sexual relationship with. And that's one big part of the transgender community. So I'll leave that. Church hurt. I think that as a church going person who had been hurt by a pastor, out in people and kind of being very nasty, I left church, but the Holy Spirit kept calling me back. I could not let God go. The body of church is flawed. People run the church. They are flawed. They come to church with their bigotry, with their issues, with their confusion and all of that. And and they spew it from the pulpit. That's not godly. That's not the Holy Spirit. So I had to understand who God is to me and nurture that relationship. And the more I did that, the closer I became to the one and true and only wise God. So I would just say that. So that's how I got through the whole church hurt. It took a while, but you have to understand faith and religion are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Sister Jasmine, that'll preach right there. That I'm gonna take a text off of that because I'm gonna say this. I know we got to wrap up in like 30 seconds or so, but you know what? At the end of the day, like she said, people are flawed, and unfortunately, what's taught from one generation to the next generation to the next generation just keeps getting handed down, and unfortunately, by the time it gets down to where we are, we've heard literally something that was said 6 generations ago. And so what I've learned is that if the Bible be true, and it is the infallible word of God, as they say, if the Bible tells me that I am created in God's image, then that means God was a trans man. That means God was a trans woman. That means God didn't have any hair. That meant God had some long hair, because I'm created in his image. And so I've learned how to walk away from church hurt. I don't let the church hurt me anymore, because hurt people, but healed people heal people. And so if I'm healed, then I get to heal others who may be hurt. And there was a message that was said just a couple days ago, that sometimes the hurt is what heals you. Because if you didn't get hurt, you would sit in a place of comfortability and complacency and not grow. I know for me, don't know about anybody else, but I'm quite sure it has. When my foot got bigger, I had to get a bigger shoe. I can't wear the same set of clothes that I wore, 2 years ago, because COVID has set in. And so, yeah, I got COVID fat. So guess what? I got to get bigger clothes. So if I try to fit in something that is old, it doesn't fit me anymore. I've got to move on to something that is new. And I've got to learn how to push past what hurt me in the past. You got to let the past be the past and move on to the forward. And so, that's one of the things that I just kind of want to encourage us and those who will be watching, that you learn how to you learn from your hurt. You experience the hurt. You sometimes have to expound upon your hurt. You have to give other people your story of your hurt, but you also have to tell them, how did I get on the other side of hurt? And there are quite a few people who have not yet gotten to that point. So those of us that are healed beyond the hurt have to heal those who are hurt. And that's it. We got to do this again. We got to do another day on this.
I think we do as well. There's a lot we can talk about. But we're gonna go ahead and wrap up now.
If y'all wanna have part 2 on, I said if y'all want to have part 2 on my
part 2, yeah.
And let's not wait till next year, Transgender Day of Visibility, either, because at the end of the day, now, Kaden, let me say this: at the end of the day, Trans Visibility Day does not only happen on March the 31st, just like Black History is not only in the month of March, in the month of February. Yeah. I am 365 days. I'm sorry, what did I say?
Black.
Okay, y'all know when Black History Month is. Okay, so yeah. So Black History Month, Black History for me started February the 5th, 1964. And it's an ongoing story. Trans Day of Visibility does not only end on March the 31st. It began the day that I said, I am trans and I will be visible. So just kind of throw that in there for you, kind of give us, maybe we can come back for a part 2, and it doesn't have to be March 31st, so we could do like, April something. I'm just putting it out there.
Absolutely, yeah. I'll definitely just bring it up to my supervisors.
Mhm.
But we're gonna wrap up really quickly. I want to ask you all, what does being visible mean to you? If you could just give us one word or something short and sweet. Really appreciate it.
I'll just go with a quote. What it means to me is, and like I tell anyone, I'm not above you. I'm not beneath you. I'm right here with you. And I'll leave that on that.
Beautiful.
I'm gonna just say ditto.
Okay. Jasmine, Jason, any last minute things?
Jason, you go first. Jason, go first.
Oh no, you go. You're the author. You got so much. Come on.
I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to sign off with a poem in my book.
Look, ladies first.
A real quick little poem in my book. It's called Summer's Day, right? And that this is how I feel about this whole experience. Sun rays flash against moist brown skin, painting me a darker hue. Bare feet read prickly shards of grass. Cool morning dew trickle between my toes. I smile wide as a swirl of wind tickles my nose. Stalks of bundled wool crown my head, coarse and nappy. Before a giggling God, I stand bow-legged, black, blessed, and happy on this summer's day. God bless y'all.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
It blessed me to write it.
My book is coming on Monday. Yes.
God bless y'all. I enjoyed y'all so very much.
God bless you too. And I want you to sign my book when I get it, Chad.
I definitely will, sister. I really will.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So are we all in Richmond, or are we in different areas?
I'm in Fredericksburg, like an hour from Richmond. Kayla, are you in
I'm in Richmond.
I'm in Richmond.
Okay, good. So we're relatively close. Okay.
I'm in Richmond.
Good. Where I do lunch, y'all.
Absolutely.
I guess
that's what I was thinking.
Let's do it.
Oh yes.
Yeah, let's get together one weekend and let's do have lunch.
Let's do it.
I'm on board.
Yes.
Kaden, thank you so very much. You know, because I know sometimes we don't thank our hosts. And so I just want to say, Kaden, thank you so very much for hosting this. Thank you to Ms. T for at least setting up, doing
and
the
thank
stream.
You, Tiana.
Yes.
Thank you, Tiana, our tech
my
person.
boo, Tiana.
Yes, thank you to Zakia for allowing us to have this platform.
Yes.
Nationz, thank you. Thank you very much.
And I appreciate you all being on this panel tonight. I feel like you all had so much to add to the conversation, and we'll definitely see if I can get a part 2 going. And I just thank you all for being patient as we had some difficulties in the beginning and extending your time here with us tonight. So thank you.
And those looking for HIV and STI testing as well as PrEP,
I would say
we have Rapid Start program, all of those great things here at the Nationz Foundation, located at 4794 Finley Street, Suite number 1 in Richmond, Virginia 23231. Give us a call, come see us. We have food pantry, Transgender program, a plethora of things. We are Black trans led, and we are doing amazing things. And thank you all.
I definitely want to close it out by saying trans lives matter every day, not just on one day or 2 days. It's every single day. So,
amen.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you all so much. That's a good way to end. Transgender Day of Visibility, not just today, but every day. And with that, thank you all so much. And I think we'll wait for Tiana to close the line.
the pill to help prevent HIV.
Having risky sex? Come closer. Come closer. Let's get some information on PrEP. Get PrEP today. PrEP starts with me. Call and schedule your HIV test today.
I'm at Nationz, about to start PrEP. Taking control of my life so that HIV doesn't control me. Get PrEP.
Black trans lives matter, and we must do everything we can to protect ourselves. Can I get a snap for PrEP?
Unsure?
No problem. If you are insured and are interested or have questions, please contact us or Kayla Finn, your PrEP coordinator, at 804-467-0480.
Get PrEP AF today.
We want you to remember to get prepped AF today. To schedule an appointment, call 804-716-7597. Always aim to inspire. Let's get that prep.